Well, he's got 40 seconds.
Mr. Mayor, 7 o'clock.
I will call the October 2nd meeting to order of the Irmo Council and recognize Councilman Waits to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, be with us tonight as we deliberate problems and circumstances facing our city and our citizens. Thank you for helping South Carolina avoid some terrible problems recently with the hurricane that skirted us but still left some scars in our state, injured and killed many people. Please be with the first responders, the medical personnel, fire departments, police departments, the men and women serving in our armed forces that keep us safe each day. And in closing, please remember the words of Ronald Reagan when he said, "A nation no longer under God is a nation gone under." We ask these blessings in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes from September 18th. Is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion.
And a second.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the minutes being approved as written, do so with show of hands. Next is the administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, anything you need to add?
No, sir, I don't.
Any questions of Mr. Brown on the briefing? Seeing none. Next is amendments to the agenda. Any amendments to the agenda? None. Next is consideration of communications. And I do want to mention two things I got up here. We got a letter from Judge Epting thanking us for the reception that we had for him the other day, and he just wanted to thank the town for that and thank the town for his many years of service that he had here, if anybody wants to take a look at that. And I also got a letter from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, which is the approval of that DUI grant for, I think it was $88,716. I've signed it, so you can do whatever needs to be done with it so we can.
How much is it for?
$88,716.
That's the extension. That's year 2.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to get next year.
Good.
Any other considerations of communications?
I have one. I've been asked several times about an email sent out from the town about a ZBA meeting and something being rescinded. And anyway, I went to see Bob Brown today. I had him explain it to me, and I wish he would explain it to people here tonight, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, ma'am. As you said, there were 3 agendas that went out last week for the ZBA meeting that was held yesterday. The first agenda went out, and it just had the approval of previous minutes that we'd had meetings from. The second one was an amended one, and we tried to add some information on there and found out that we didn't need to add it. So the third agenda went out, rescinded the second one. So we originally went back to the original agenda, which was just 2 items on there. And we had the meeting last night, and those 2 minutes were approved in, I don't know, like 3 minutes. Because there was no discussion, no decision. Nothing had been done last night other than approving minutes from previous meetings. And because the ZBA didn't have a normal schedule like Council and Planning Commission and the Orchestra Commission, they may not meet again for a couple of years. So the approval of the minutes from last night may not be approved for who knows when. It's just so everybody knows. I mean,
They don't meet like quarterly basis or anything like
No.
that? This would be-
they will only have a meeting when we need one, when somebody requests a variance or a waiver.
So the minutes from last night won't get approved until, let's say, next year? If we don't have any business for that?
That's a very good possibility, yes, sir, because every time we have a meeting, you're still going to have minutes.
Right.
So then you would, I mean, if you had one last night, you could have had it tonight to approve it. You could have one tomorrow to approve tonight, one the next day to approve that. I mean, you never get to an end point. And the ZBA only meets when there's a judicial decision to be made on something.
And I'll add too, when it's a meeting like the Ron Dooley meeting or the other meeting, that stuff went on, they tried to approve those within a certain period of time so nobody will forget what happened and yada, yada. But when it's only approving minutes of a meeting, then you just kind of wait until the next time you have a meeting.
There's a video of all those meetings, right?
That's correct, except for last night. There was no video when they're just approving previous meeting minutes. Again, there was no decision. There was no items on the agenda, other than approving minutes from the last 2 meetings.
So
So we don't record that one.
they don't record it unless somebody brings up a variance or whatever.
On a scheduled meeting, when we have a variance request to consider, then we record it.
Okay, got it.
I guess the problem was is when you rescinded that agenda, when did you send that rescind out?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
When you rescinded that second agenda,
Well, that's correct. We had the amended agenda, and then we decided that, no, we didn't want to add that item on there after we talked to DOT, and we had a clarification of what that item was.
so when did you rescind it is what I'm asking? That was on Friday?
Rescinded it on Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. They're saying that they should have enough notice for the meeting,
We still had the original agenda. After we rescinded the amended one, we fell back on the original one, which was sent out on Friday.
That's where the confusion came in, I'm saying.
I understand.
Actually, no, this is under consideration of communication. During presentation of citizens at the end of the meeting, you can, yes.
Is
Any
that
more
it?
discussion on that?
Is that it? I have some
Yeah,
communication.
you got a communication?
Yeah. Mr. Donlin, come up here and ask that information you want to give me, please.
But, hold on a
It's the
minute.
information that I wanted to give to
This
the
is
council.
consideration of communications. Is there an email or is there a letter or something?
Yeah, there's a letter he gave me.
Forget it.
Okay.
Any other consideration of communications?
Yeah, Miss Brandy Clarkson gave me email.
I did send an email actually to the town email requesting to know if there was going to be a meeting on Monday and what that agenda would be, and it was not responded to. So I'd like to know, the ZBA has met several times since February of 2017, why the minutes were not approved before Monday night.
Can you get a copy of that email to me?
I can send you a copy right
Yeah,
now, Mayor.
okay. We just need it for a
If you
record.
don't have me blocked on your email. I was.
Well, send it to Bob, send it to anybody, and they can send it to me.
Okay, Bob has it.
Okay, you do?
Okay.
Can you just send that out? No, Bob. No, the email that she's referring to. Have you got it?
I have not seen that one yet.
Well, can you get a copy of that email?
I mean, I've had emails with Mrs. Clarkson. I've responded to them right away. I haven't seen one that referred to the meeting last night.
But Barry, can you get a copy for council of that email?
Okay.
If
Okay.
maybe it went to the town,
I don't know. He can get it. He brought it up. Any other consideration of communications? Next item is presentation by citizens for items on our agenda. This is where we, if citizens want to address something that's on the agenda, may do so at this time. All we ask is you give us your name and address for the record and also the agenda item.
My name is Michelle Carpenter. I live on 112 Linden Pride. So what I'm reading this, you're going to levy 4% franchise.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, ma'am.
You're going to levy a 4% franchise fee for us having SCNG, and we're already being slammed by them. Is that what I'm to read? Is that correct?
Can you say that again?
Item B,
Okay.
it says, ordinance to grant South Carolina Electric and Gas non-exclusive rights to operate, provide service, and levy a 4% franchise fee on its customers that reside in the town of Irmo.
Yes.
You're going to give us 4%? You're going to charge us that? Is that what that says?
No, you're talking about the franchise fee? What's this?
Yeah,
Number B.
the franchise fee was 3%. It just went to 4%.
Yeah,
They went up 1%.
went up one.
We're already being slammed by SCNG, and y'all are going to charge us more? Really? Is that what I'm to understand?
It's going up by 1%.
Why?
It was 3.
Well,
Why?
Let's let her speak, and this is not just a time for the citizens to speak.
At least you could look at me when I'm talking to you.
I mean, she's asking a question.
But this ain't a time for asking questions. This is time
Okay,
for
well,
citizens.
I expect
That's
an
what
answer
It
at
is.
some point.
Okay, what was the question now? The question was, why did it go up to 4%? Is that what you're asking me? Okay. When we get down there, I'll explain it to you.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. My name is James Seiler. I live at 119 Western Watch. I have a problem with the parking issue. So this parking ordinance is to raise property tax.
This is, it's not on the agenda. You have to do that at the end of the meeting. Yeah,
Okay, I can wait.
yeah.
Property tax?
Anyone else?
Yes, hi.
Hey.
My name is Margaret Suber. I'm here but I don't see it on the agenda. Miss Vi told me it was on the agenda, 1164A, Lake Murray Boulevard.
Yeah, it's on here.
Is it on there?
What's 1164 here?
Okay, I see it. See, okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm sorry, and I'm new at this. I'm standing in for the owner, but I'm the one that's going to be buying the property soon. So I wait till this comes up?
No, you can speak now.
Okay. I wasn't able to be to the meeting last night. So Ms. Vi told me that some people had some questions about what we wanted to do on that property. So and it's a small dealership, about 10, 15 to 20 vehicles. It was already, I don't know what happened, but somebody got approved through DMV because they told me a while back, maybe 10, 12 years back, but they didn't go forward with it. And you can tell on one side of the building where they had the sliding glass and everything's already there for that, but I guess they didn't finish it now. The other side of the building was a restaurant or a cafe or something, and it still has the restaurant stuff in there on the other side. But what I'm not ready to use that other side yet. I just want to use the side where they started doing the dealership part. So that's pretty much what we'll be doing. It's already some commercial property around it. It's an environmental service beside it, and then it's another car dealership behind it, and then a gas station, then Precision Tune. So I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of businesses already. I had DMV come out just to kind of scope it out, and they said it would be okay once you guys looked at it and see what you're going to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I want to do for right now. I'm new at dealership. I've probably about a year been in it. Well, I had my dealer's license for probably about a year, but I've been doing it for about 10 years. Yeah. So if anybody have any questions for me, but that's pretty much the bottom line. It's going to be very small, nothing affordable, average used vehicles.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me know if you got any questions. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Evening. I'm Dan Newbanks, 101 Denbeck. I want to address the question of the third and final reading of the municipal judge issue. I want to make sure that I'm understanding that what I'm thinking is being covered is actually being covered on here. This is a motion to, adopt what's in the state's laws to then be reflected in the town's ordinances with regard to how the judge is hired by the town. Is that correct?
Kind of. We can discuss it more when we get there.
Right.
Kinda.
So my only point is, from what I heard at one of the last meetings, may have been the last one, it looked to me like you were trying to mimic what was in the state's constitution and instructions for towns by using the exact same wording. It's my understanding there that the intent of the state is for a municipality to then select how they're going to handle the appointment of judges. I don't think that they intended us to take the exact verbiage and repeat it in our own town ordinances. Now, that's something that we want to look at. I'm not sure that there's a clear understanding of what was intended by the state's law versus how this is being moved forward on. It just doesn't seem like we're getting to the point of the law at the state level. I think that the state intends for us to select a method of appointing a judge and then have that decision reflected in the town ordinances. Now, I could be wrong about that. That's just the way that I read it. But it's something that I think we should look at and question. Are we understanding what that state law is actually trying to get the town to do? Because I don't think they're trying to get it to say, well, we can do it either way, and so that's what our town ordinances should say, that we can do it either way. I don't think that's what the intent is there. I think that the state ordinances are saying, pick a way, you have the right to pick a way, put that way in your town ordinances, and that should be the way that you should appoint judges going forward. I think it may be a technicality, but I think it's something that we need to look at a little more closely. That's all.
When we get to that section, Mayor, we can explain to them what's happening and why we're technically trying to change that wording. It's similar to what you're saying, but it's not quite that reason. We'll explain it to you when we get down there.
Anyone else? Seeing none. Next item is third and final reading of ordinance 1822. This is the one that has to do with the collection of the delinquent debts through the South Carolina Department of Revenue. Is there a motion for third and final reading?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor then of third and final reading, do so with show of hands. Next is third and final reading of 1824. This is the one that has to do with the municipal judge changes. Is there a motion for third and final reading?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
And any discussion? You made the...
Basically, we had somebody that threatened to sue the town and said that the way we're appointing our judges was not correct. When Judge Epting retired, we appointed our associate judge to take his place. But the associate judge was already a full-time magistrate judge in Lexington County. If we'd have done that, then it technically would have been holding two offices. She would have been appointed as our town judge, and she would have been an registered judge and a magistrate judge in Lexington. According to the Constitution, we can't have dual office holding people. on our council. So instead of just working through it and saying, well, we're going to use her as a part-time judge, we were threatened with a lawsuit that if we didn't fix it, that we would basically we would basically have a judge that was ineffective. So now we're changing the wording around so that we can basically appoint a judge in our court system that has a full-time, that can be a full-time magistrate judge, and hire her as a associate or circuit judge here. Now, you have anything else to add, Mr. Mayor? I don't know.
Rather than appoint, we needed to contract with her, and that's why we started the change, because appointing her would have been difficult, or could be construed as illegal, whatever. So we're contracting with her, and that's the reason for the change, as far as I understand.
Yeah, we have always in the years past appointed a judge, which was fine because Mickey was not a magistrate judge. And our ordinance requires us to appoint a judge. State law, 57230, says you can elect a judge or appoint a judge. State law 1425.5 says you must or shall, I can't remember, but it says you shall appoint one if you have a municipal court. 1425.25 says that you can contract out with a neighboring county or municipality and do that. And then there were some questions about dual office serving. There had been some legal opinions that said it was, and then there's some that said it wasn't. There was also some that came from the Supreme Court justice here, Gene Toll and also Beatty, if I remember correctly, that basically said we can appoint somebody even if they're already a magistrate because it's not dual office, because they're a judge here and they're a judge there. That's not dual office. Dual office would be if you're serving on a planning commission in one town and on a ZBA in another, or town council in one place and a planning commission in another. That would be dual office. So there was a whole lot of whatever up in the air. And I spoke with Nathan Ballantyne, who has also spoke with the people down at the State House, and they called one day to kind of verify what the issue was. They are looking at changing some of their stuff, but that's, hold your breath type stuff, to change it to say select or appoint, or hire. But their interpretation is that if our ordinance says we have to appoint, then we have to appoint. If state law says we can appoint or contract or elect, then we can technically do that because state law supersedes ours. But it would be better if we changed ours to read what theirs does. At least we have those options until they change it. And hopefully we won't be going through this for a long time, but down the road in the future, if it comes up and we want to hire another magistrate, then doing this allows us the ability to contract out with an adjoining county. And so that gives us the avenue of doing that. And hopefully they'll go back and change some of that. But there also, and I think, Eric, you had mentioned this one time, and I don't know how to explain it, but a law can never be interpreted to conflict with itself, so to speak, a state law. And because of that, these really don't conflict. It should be interpreted to mean select, elect, or contract out, even though it doesn't say that, but that's their interpretation too. So, but anyway, that's why we're changing it, so at least we'll have this resolved in the future.
Because we are contracting with her.
We had already contracted out with her in the past. We're just really renewing her contract and increasing the pay because the requirements got increased. So any more discussion? All in favor then of third reading of 1824, do so with show of hands. Third and final reading of 1825. This is the one with the
Handicap.
oh yeah, the handicapped, 1825. Is there a motion for third reading?
So move.
Second?
Any discussion? And you made the motion, so if you want to go first, and then Kathy second.
No, we already talked about it.
It's just making an exception for anybody with a handicapped license plate or a hang thing.
Placard.
Placard.
Yes. That they can be exempt from this parking ordinance for humane reasons.
Do you want to change that word sticker to placard, or just to leave it as that and know that we mean placard?
I would like to amend it to say license plate and placard.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a sticker for handicapped.
Oh, okay.
It's either the placard.
So any car that has a valid
rearview mirror or a
So
license plate.
handicapped license plate or placard.
Handicapped placard.
I second that.
All right, let me write here what you're doing. Any car that has a valid
Handicapped
License plate or placard.
I mean, it says a valid handicap plate.
So it needs to say license plate
It
in
doesn't
between
say license
handicap.
plate. And
All right,
we've had
or placard.
incorrect wording brought up many times about some of the ordinances in the last couple of years. I can see somebody writing handicapped on a paper plate, slapping it on the back of their car. I mean, really, you know.
So you're adding.
And there is no handicap.
Like hanging thingy, you didn't like that.
There is no handicap sticker.
That's a
Hangy,
good
hangy
change.
thingy.
What do you call it? What do you call that thing there?
It's a placard. It hangs down from your rear view mirror, and that's where it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be removed when you're driving the vehicle as per instructions that come with it.
So
That's what South Carolina calls a sticker.
No, they
That's not a sticker.
What does motor vehicle call it?
placard.
They call
Placard.
it a placard? Okay.
So it'll read any car that has a valid handicap license plate or placard,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Okay.
I think that's proper.
Any discussion? All in favor of the amendment, do so with show of hands. And any discussion on the 1825? All in favor of 1825 as amended, do so with show of hands. Next is second reading of 1826. This is the one that has to do with business license, and the state is requiring these changes from total income to gross receipts or gross revenue. Is there a motion for second reading of 1826?
So move.
And a
Second.
second. Any discussion? This is more or less just doing what the state says we need to do to have our wording with theirs. All in favor then of 1826, do so with show of hand. And next is 1827. Oh, this is another one, another part of our, is there a motion for second reading of 1827?
So move.
Second.
And this is the same thing, just a different paragraph in a different part. Any discussion? All in favor then of 1827, second reading, do so with show of hands. Next is 1829. This is the annexation on St. Andrews Road, yeah. Is there a motion for second reading of 1829?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's right there. You know, I thought it was in Irmo anyway, so I'm glad they're making it formal.
Any more discussion? All in favor then of annexing the two properties at 6365, 6371 St. Andrews Road, do so with show of hands. And this one is one of the Mid-Carolina, what do you call it, contracts that we have to approve with them since we're changing it. Is there a motion for first reading of 1830?
So move.
Second.
And Julius, you went, and then Kathy.
Well, someone said something about raising property taxes. We don't have property taxes in the town of Irmo and haven't for over 10 years now. We have a couple of new police officers coming on board soon. Hopefully by March, we should have a full complement of police officers. We have been short by as many as 6 in the last year. And bringing them on board now, and the increase in medical care and medical benefits to our employees. Money's got to come from somewhere. We charge these businesses a business license, and they choose to pass the franchise fee on to the customer, just like any other business. If cost of your product goes up, or the manufacture of your product goes up, you pass it on. Both utilities are overseen by the Public Service Commission, which is appointed by our state legislature. So I have no problem with increasing the fee. It's a couple of dollars a year, or a month rather, excuse me, depending on how much usage you have of their product. If you're on Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative, they offer as a way of doing charitable works in the community, they offer you what is called a roundup. If you have a bill of $65.28, they round it up, and the difference goes into this fund, which they spend on charitable situations during the year. So you're contributing to a little, almost 1% of your money sometimes into this program, automatically by enrolling in the Roundup program.
That's nice.
And their rates are lower than SCE and G.
Yes, they are.
Plus, you are a owner of the electric cooperative, and every March you get a dividend check that can vary from as little as $75. The largest one I've received was $125 or $26.
That's wonderful.
And if you move, they continue to pay you back for the number of years you were in. So sometimes people don't know when they leave Irmo or leave Mid-Carolina service, that check is accruing, and they are holding it for you if they don't have a current address for you.
Wow.
You?
This is legal, right? Okay.
You've already approved the raise.
Yeah, we've already approved,
So
okay.
we're just trying to talk about how you're going to incorporate that raise. I mean, the raise happened last time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, the question was, I believe, is why we were raising it to 4%. And the answer to the question is we're not raising it to 4%. Right now, you're paying a 3% franchise fee on your landline, on your cable service. You're already paying that right now, currently. We're charging another 1%. We're raising it to 4% to generate more income. I think it was estimated about $180,000. Is that right?
195.
Huh?
195.
$195,000 additional revenue to the town for that 1% increase in franchise fee. Now, that 1% increase will go to our general fund of the town of Irmo, and that general fund is what we pay for our police, or all the services, all the things we need to run the town of Irmo out of the general fund. So that's the reason for the 1% increase. Okay? That's the reasoning, okay?
You want to?
No, if it's legal, we ought to vote.
Well, I want to comment.
No,
Yeah.
we've already done this about 6 times.
No, but I want to comment on some of the question too.
I did have a question though about this. Why is it we're talking about Mid-Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Why are they talking about SC&Gs
That's the next one.
in the contract? Why are they talking about SC&Gs?
It has to do with the overlay.
Each one has a
They have an
contract.
overlay that was approved by the oversight body with the legislature, and they basically have by parcel designated which one of the other is going to cover the houses in the town of Irmo.
Well,
It
it's
was recognizing that if, for instance, you were to annex a property that wasn't presently in Irmo, that if it was a red one, it would be SC&G, and if it was a green one, it'd be Mid-Carolina, or vice versa. That's all. They've already designated this amongst themselves. They just want us to ratify that we would.
I got you. Where's that map that shows the red and green at? I didn't see it on here.
We can provide a copy. You guys approved it back in August.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll be happy to send you another one.
No, I was just curious where it is. I can look back at the minutes. Thank you.
That's
Okay.
when we tried to all leave SC&G and go to Mid-Carolina.
Right, I remember that.
And to kind of also answer that question, South Carolina allows municipalities, counties, and everybody to charge a franchise fee on electric services, gas, cable, anything that's in the ground roughly. And they allow anything from 0 to 5%. Ours has been 3% for years. Some counties, some municipalities is different, some don't even do it. And because of that, it's difficult for SCNG or Mid-Carolina, any of those that have a public regulated type entity to go to build into their rate a business license or a franchise fee. Because some of them will have it, some of them won't. So they let them charge the franchise or charge the rate that's approved by the service, the PCS or whoever. And then on top of that, if we have a franchise fee, they can add that to the bill. That's why you see it added to the bill instead of built into the bill, because some places have it, some don't. Some it's 2, some it's 3, some it's 4. So they just say, here's your rate, here's what you can charge, add that on top of it. Just like they add the thing for the
Tax.
the fire hydrant and they add the thing for the light and all that. They just add that where they need to. And it was 3% for years. It did go to 4. We had a lengthy 6 meetings on that, or 5, I think. Me and Mark did try to change it to 3.5, but we're unsuccessful.
Good.
But it is 4. And all we have to do is, because it went from 3 to 4, we have to approve the new contracts with the 2 utilities, because it has to say 4 instead of 3. And that's kind of all we're doing now, is approving those contracts. And was there anything, Eric, that you looked at them that we need to be aware of? Is everything good, everything great, or
There was one minor thing that we will
work out by next time? Okay.
work out by next time. That's correct. It just had to do with a fund for putting monies aside for putting lines underground.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that it's understood that the town doesn't have to necessarily fund an independent fund and keep it funded. That's all.
Okay.
Other than that, they're pretty identical.
Any more discussion? All in favor then of the first reading of 1830, do so a show of hands. Next one is 1831. This is basically the same contract. It's just with SC&G instead of Mid-Carolina. Is there a motion for first reading?
Second.
Any discussion? Basically the same as the other one.
Thing.
All in favor then of that contract being approved, do so a show of hands. Next one is the zoning change that the lady was speaking on Lake Mary Boulevard. Is there a motion for first reading on 1832?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And let's see,
The zoning change is for I guess it's going to commercial, general commercial in a neighborhood commercial area. And I believe it's behind the Precision Tune. And that's behind the Precision Tune, but in front of the nursery, the landscape business.
and
that
behind
right?
that convenience store, it looks like too.
I'm trying to think, there's like a little building back there.
That's the place.
That little building? How'd you find that? I mean, the visibility must be terrible for a car dealer. Oh, okay. Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Is there a reason why we can't do a car dealer in neighborhood commercial? Bob?
Doesn't allow it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's in a general commercial neighborhood.
No, I mean, it's not a question about that. It's just,
Out front and neighborhood all behind it.
Yeah.
But it's surrounded by commercial.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And who, Mark, do you want to go?
No, I agree, because it's surrounded by commercial. She wants to give this thing a go. Let's allow her to do that.
Any more discussion?
there's a street. That street doesn't exist anymore, does it?
What street?
Mowers. That's why I was getting confused. There's a street.
Yeah, it's not open.
Mowers, that's where the ATM is.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore. Oh, okay.
It's not beside the red, but on the back
Yeah.
part, doesn't really, but kind of, there's a dirt road.
And that property goes all the way to there? Charles Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. on the-
Yeah, that's
on
right.
that side.
No. No, it's Mowers. Charles is in the front.
Oh,
Mowers is in
you're
the
talking
back.
about over here where the ATM and Taco Bell
Charles
is.
is right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Charles. That's Mowers right there. If you go straight across, right straight across, that's the back end
Yeah.
of that property, right?
Yeah.
So that's the back end, right? Okay. All right.
Any more? All in favor then, of first reading of 1832?
Did we ask the neighbors? Tell them what's going on? Okay.
Well, I'm sure, what's his name? At the,
Oh, about the sign up there?
no, the guy that owns the grass place, the landscape.
Landscaping?
Yeah, he's really the only one that,
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
David. All in favor, do so with show of hands.
Good luck.
Next is presentation by citizens, and there was what is today? Go ahead.
Barry, you said the 1% was for additional revenue for the town, right? You can just nod since you're not allowed to talk to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please use that additional revenue to educate yourself, Mr. Waits, next time that you amend an agenda. Next time you amend an ordinance. I am on dmv.org right now, and I will read form number RJ007A to you. Disabled placard license plate application. Use this form to apply for an original, renewal, or replacement disabled parking placard, plate, or decal with the SCDMV. You're not allowed to talk to me. So there are decals, which are stickers. So I think y'all should probably amend that ordinance again. My grandmother actually has the decal, which is a sticker on her license plate. The one that was harassed by the police officer. They can't talk to me, neither can you. I'm sorry. That's the mayor's rule. Secondly, Bob left. Perhaps Bob did miss my email because he is telling the truth when he says that he emails me back every time I ask a question. Everybody at town, Renee, Ms. Kay, Chief, everyone is very responsive. I think it's important to point out in this case, the only case ever where they have not been responsive, it looks very dirty what happened. The ZBA minutes from February 2017 were approving minutes from December of 2016. The ZBA has met several times since February and could have approved those minutes. So my real question is this. Why was the agenda rescinded and not in the email, why wasn't it explained we are going back to the original agenda? It appeared to everyone, except Pat Donnelly, good job, Pat, that the meeting was canceled. So my question is, what would have been discussed if Mr. Donnellan had not attended that meeting? Because I don't think we were just approving minutes from February 2017 all of a sudden. But again, I don't fault Bob for not answering that email. I firmly believe that Bob and everyone else, which is under the employment of this council, are being used as puppets, and I'm tired of it. Bob has been very responsive. He has no reason to not respond to me unless he was directed not to. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
These are the meetings? I had these minutes already. That's why I found it funny that we were approving minutes from February, which the only thing on those minutes was the minutes from December. I think we all know what this is about. Every single one of us. You can nod your head all you want to. You might not. You didn't know there was a decal, so you maybe not.
Mr. Mayor, since I'm not speaking to the former speaker, the decal that's referred to in the Highway Department, Department of Transportation, and the sheet that comes with the placard, that refers to the tax decal that goes on your license plate each year.
Tax decal?
You know, when you put October
All right, so
2019.
now we're allowed to speak on anything, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the this whole parking in the street thing.
And give her your name again. So, is it James?
James Seitler, 119 Weston Watch. You got it? Okay. Weston Watch.
James, you speaking to that mic, please? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just talking to the mic if we can hear you.
Okay. All right, so the ordinance is to basically not have people parking in their yards to raise property value. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And as this is basically stated for any non-homeowners association neighborhood, right?
It's for the entire town.
It's for in the entire town. Okay. So this Sunday, I was doing some examples and some run-throughs, and had my car parked in the street, and guess what? It got backed into. So my point, and the whole discussion of this is why and how much property value are you planning to raise in certain areas with this? Anybody? I mean, what are you looking to get out of this? Are you trying to make certain neighborhoods like Ascot or Belfair Oaks, so to say, or are you just basically just doing it to try to make Irmo a better place?
It's not a debate. We can't back and forth. You know, that's what he said to you.
I mean, okay.
Just tell us what you want us to know.
Basically, I want you to know that it's not right to make every single neighborhood a homeowners association if it doesn't have a homeowners association. The town should not be allowed to be the homeowners association if there's not one already in place. Okay? That's one.
I have a question. Your car was backed into? Is that what you're...
Yes. They were leaving out of their driveway and backed directly into my vehicle.
Okay.
Okay. Second thing is oh, never mind. I don't really have anything else.
Thank you.
Michelle Carpenter, 112 London Pride. Tomorrow we're going to be having from 4 to 7 at 581 Cornerstone Circle. We're going to be having a petition signing party. So if you'd care to come sign it, we'd appreciate it. This is government overreach, and you can't tell me what I can put in my garage and what I can't. It's my property. I pay the taxes, not to Irmo, but I pay the taxes on that house. I can put whatever I want to in my garage. It doesn't have to be a car. And you can't tell me that. It's government overreach. And Mayor, why do you never look at us when we're up here talking? You're just so rude.
Because I like to make notes of what people are saying.
It's rude.
That's fine. And
There's another one.
did Mr. Donlon, did you want to?
I'll be brief.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm Dan Newbanks again, 101 Denbeck. So with the 1% increase of the franchise fee, we're talking about, I think you said $195,000 in increase in revenue that'll be into the
Approximately.
general fund. Approximately. And that's all well, fine and good. I think most of everyone knows my stance on taxation in general. And it bothers me to no end that there has been very little discussion that I have heard on cutting spending. I mean, I've asked a couple of times from a few individuals that I thought would have access to it for the budget just to take a look to see how much is being spent. And I can think off the top of my head, even without seeing numbers, where we could cut spending, one of which is the massive amount of manpower that's going into people riding around checking how tall grass is and to check how many people are parked in yards. The number of man hours in general, and no offense to the chief, I'm sure he runs a fine department, but I can't imagine the amount of time that goes in to riding around enforcing these ordinances that really, it just to me does not seem to be any business of government whatsoever. If we're wanting to increase the bottom line, which is the point of increasing revenue, it should start with cutting spending, not increasing revenue from taxation or franchise fees. This hurts the pocket directly of the people who are the customers of SCE&G and Mid-Carolina Electric. And it bothers me to no end that there has been so little discussion and you are so quick to approve yet another hike in the fees and taxes that are hitting the residents directly. Now, again, we have, I think, ample evidence of how many man hours are going into this effort to increase property values, and all the while you're driving people off. People don't want to move to Irmo when you've got astronomical fees that are just creeping higher and higher. You've got fines that are oppressive, and you've got a town council that is passing ordinances that are butting their noses into where they don't belong. You want to increase property values, stop driving people to sell their houses. That's common sense, and it's common economic principles of supply and demand. Now, if you want to really get down to the brass tacks here, if you want people to move into Irmo instead of moving out, lower taxes and franchise fees, and get out of people's private property. People will move here for the freedom of being here and enjoying their privacy and their private property in peace. That's all.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Short people problems. Jada Powell, 212 Vultures Lock. I just want to say thank you to everyone for the support and the trunk or treat. It is, so far we have 16 cars, and I'm waiting on council for a 17th car. The police department has signed up already. The response has been overwhelming, and I just wanted to say thank you. And if y'all didn't know, we're having a trunk or treat October 27th from 5 to 8 at the Irmo Town Park.
Keep sending us the emails, Jada.
And I need donations again. Jada, is it at Town Park or the community park? The community park. I get them mixed up. And
Keep reminding us.
I'm taking candy donations because we have way more people than I thought.
Wait a minute now, you had me down, didn't you?
Yes, you're down.
Oh, okay.
But I thought at one time y'all said something about doing a town council car.
Oh.
But then again, I don't know if all
Did we
5
say
of
that?
y'all can be there at one time.
Are we doing the town council car?
I think it's something we ought to talk about, decide whose car it's going to be and what we're going
I already volunteered. I mean, if I can make that a town council car, that's fine with me.
And I'm accepting candy donations in case any cars run out because there's a lot of kids.
Do you need more candy?
I haven't received any yet. So I'm going to purchase all the candy that I can, but I'm waiting in hopes that I can get donations.
Well, I have some today.
I don't want money. I just want candy. pre-packaged candy only.
Yeah.
No baked goods, nothing that has already been opened.
Got it.
Chief, what night is trick or treat officially? Halloween. Yeah, is it Halloween night?
We don't change it. City of Columbia's.
It's 31st, right?
30.
That's on Wednesday.
That's right.
And this is on the 27th.
Pat, did you want to?
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else? Next is no discussions, no executive session. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Hold on.
Oh.
I just want to say something. We actually unanimously voted for everything on this.
Oh, let's go back.
First time.
Let's go back and fix that. Hold on.
Well, we hadn't adjourned yet. So
Okay, yeah, so
we might only get 2 votes to adjourn.
Okay, wait a minute. So I need to, Mr. Newbanks, I need to tell him. We fought over this franchise fee, how many times?
5 meetings.
Five meetings.
6.
He and I mainly. So it's been hashed out. I didn't want you to think we just, because we did. We had serious discussions about it.
Go ahead.
I'm Wade Deloach, 156 Finsbury Road. I want to talk about the $8 stormwater that's being charged on each house. I just don't know if council fully knows what all that we are putting this $8 towards or not. I've asked Kathy, and she gave us a pretty good general idea where it's going, and there's a couple questions. One, I'd like to know, are we a member of the Lexington Consortium Agreement? Are we on it or not? And if we are, I wish you'd look at that agreement a little bit closer. Because part of that agreement is a kids' day in the Lexington County, in Lexington Park. And I just can't see sending funds where we're not doing nothing in our park. It also includes a rain barrel event. Now, I did one for free, spent a little bit of money out of my pocket. And I don't mind. It was a good activity for the whole community. But if we're going to spend money to another town to do events and take it away from our park, and then you got people here that are doing stuff for free and money out of their pocket, and you're going to give it to them, to me, that's not right. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I just wish you guys would look into it and think about it.
Okay.
Bob, are we a member of the consortium?
We are a member, and we pay like $22,000 a year. It's gone up. But there's a whole bunch of requirements, paperwork requirements, and training things that we get credit for.
Okay, so, all right. So what he's talking about is something we are double doing, or?
No.
How's that? Okay. Yes, we are members of the Lexington County Stormwater Consortium. And our bill last year, I believe, was $22,000 and some change, and that's up from like $16,000 the year before. We get a lot of benefits from that. Yes, the rain barrel, I understand, Mr. Deloach was saying about us can participate over here, but there's a lot of EPA requirements being part of that as an MS4, which is what we are for the Clean Water Act. And it requires a lot of paperwork training and classes and things that we're involved with that we get credit for when the EPA, if they ever decide to come down and inspect us. So there's a lot of paperwork required, and that's why we're part of the consortium, to help everybody benefit from not having to do it themselves.
I think there's a lot of confusion that the stormwater maintenance agreement that we were talking about, the $8, is not going for actual storm drains that you see in the streets. It's not directly involved with that at all. It's for the testing of the water runoff coming out of our.
Well, it's for the $22,000 for the member stormwater consortium. It's for the $10,000 for our annual permit fee to DHEC, and it's for testing.
Okay, so people are getting confused and saying, well, why is my storm drain, broken and clogged up, and nobody's cleaning them out? And
that has nothing. to do with this.
I know it doesn't have nothing to do with it, but we said that the county is responsible for doing that. Right. But then I think before the orchestra, we had our guys out there cleaning them out. So which is it, the county or us, you know?
They were doing some light cleaning out there. They weren't out there with the big vacuum truck.
Aesthetics.
For flood prep, trying to get into some of the low areas to clean them out, to keep the flood from backing up too much, or the heavy rains.
So shouldn't the county be doing that? I mean, I'm just asking, shouldn't the county be doing that?
They should, but Witt's guys were doing it not just before orchestra. They'd started a few weeks prior before the big rains came.
Yeah, I got you.
They were trying to clean it out so that everything would drain a little bit better.
Okay. And I also wondered, can't we get the county to come out and fix those broken storm drains? And
we send requests into them, and I'm sure it's sitting on somebody's desk over there, both counties.
I was going to say, don't we have the same agreement with Richland County?
Not for Stormwater Consortium. I mean, we are just part of Lexington County, which covers our whole town. But we do have to go through Richland County Stormwater Department for building and for drainage problems, detention ponds, things like that.
But yeah, that $8 a home actually just goes to pay that $22,000 plus $10,000 plus the testing plus all that. And it may have to go up again because it keeps going up.
It keeps going up.
Is it cheaper for us to do it ourselves?
I'll let Whit try to answer that because he knows how much work is involved with trying to get out there and do all the paperwork, plus all the training, plus all the testing.
The idea of doing it with the county is to save money, and a lot of money, because the biggest component of stormwater is education. So we pool all our money together and spend it on advertising and events. We've done events at parks in Columbia. This year we've done it at the Fireflies game. It was the money was spent advertising stormwater at the baseball games. So we moved the parks around.
And they do billboards.
And it's a huge event. It's way bigger than we could handle. I mean, they have 10,000, 15,000 people at.
Are there any grants available for us to do it ourselves?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's a requirement of the EPA for us to do education. So the idea is
pay for that education, for the maintenance and education.
No,
I don't know. I'm just
no, not that I'm aware of.
The grants are out there to help you set up programs, not to run them.
When all the municipalities pooled their money together, it's cheaper to buy billboards, radio advertising, and we do all that.
Okay.
It's the idea is to save a lot of money because it gets very expensive doing stormwater requirements.
Yeah, if we had our own, we'd have to do all that.
We'd have to hire our own consultant. And we're getting Irmo's getting a good bang for its buck.
Okay.
So, no executive session. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Let's all vote against it. So 3 of us vote against it.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
So, Barry and you second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
All opposed? All opposed? 3-2.
Lord.
Cool. We blew it, Mark.